Me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true. I'll go first. When I was 8.
So I have one. I actually have several because I've dealt with, in my opinion, paranormal for forever. But in this current house I live in, I used to live in the basement, and the weirdest things would happen. Noises, the doors would unlock, thumps, I'd hear voices, stuff like that. And you're like, oh, you're in the basement, you can hear the neighbors. Probably, but it didn't sound like the neighbors, you know? It's not like it was in the room. And not to mention the back door being randomly open. And this was before we had cameras. So it's like, fuck you. The sliding door to the laundry room would keep getting opened. And like my brain was like, okay, that's the cats. That has to be the cats. Until one night I was laying in bed and I ended up dozing off. I woke up to the sharpest pain in my side. And I literally mean sharp. Like I didn't know what was going on. I woke up, I jumped up, and I looked in the mirror. I ran to the bathroom and looked in the mirror. It had a private bathroom. And I had a burn mark on my side. Like, it was about this big, and it was already welting up. And I was like, what the fuck did that to me? And I'm like, okay, maybe I fell asleep with my charger. Maybe it exploded. Maybe my laptop overheated. Like, something. I go to the bed. There's literally nothing on my bed except my phone, and my phone is tucked under the pillow. So I'm like, okay, that's weird. And now mind you, this is not like the story I'm getting to. I'm getting to the main story. That's just one of the occurrences. One of the other occurrences, I've woken up with handprints, one specifically on my chest, two on my thighs, which I was like, whatever demon's trying to fuck me in my sleep, y'all gotta chill out. And then a few months into, maybe about a year living into this house, I put up flyers for dog walking because I just needed something on the side. And I love dogs. I've worked with animals my entire life. I was like, it could work. This lady calls me from my flyer. She was confused. She thought I was looking for someone to walk my dog, but that's not what the sign said. Anyway, she was like, also, I have something to tell you. I'm like, what? And she's like, so, you're not going to believe this, but I'm a psychic. Me thinking she's trying to get money. I'm like, oh, okay. Hold on. Me thinking she's like trying to get money. I'm like, oh, okay, let me just hear her out, you know, no harm, no foul. And she starts talking and she's like, so when I touched your flyer, I got really bad energy from it. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she starts going on about how she sensed negative energy and how it feels evil and stuff like that. And she's like, yeah, I just got that from touching your flyer. And I'm like, okay. She's like, have you ever experienced anything paranormal? And I said, yeah, I was honest. I'm like, yeah, I have, and this house is not the best. And she starts going on telling me things that if I didn't tell her, she shouldn't know. And then she starts going on about sleep paralysis, which again is something that if I didn't tell you that I've had consistently, you wouldn't know. And then she tells me that there are entities in my home. There are 5 entities in my home. And it's 2 men, 2 women, and something evil. And we're having this conversation. She's like, I understand this is like a lot. I promise I'm not asking for money. I will literally come do a free reading for you. And I'm like, lady, chill this all out because you're going like super fast. Not super fast, but like this is all like all this information at once. You know things you shouldn't know. You're telling me there's something evil in my home. And yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe. And then maybe like a night later, I woke up with a hand mark on my breast. Like, there was no thumb for the hand mark. No thumb. These 3 fingers were severely stretched out. I got that wrong. I'm sorry. Baby brain is kicking in. There was no pinky. These 3 fingers were extremely stretched out. And the thumb was like bent this way and all the way to the opposite side. And the handprint itself went down from my nipple to up here. My hands aren't that big, and my breasts drop when I'm not wearing a bra. Like, it would have had to be a very big hand. But, it doesn't make sense. So I called her number back, and it said, user not in service, like, user not, it didn't say user not in service, it was like user not active or something. So I'm like, that's weird. But maybe she just didn't pay her bill. I understand. So I waited like a week later, and when I called the phone again, it was an older lady answering, and she said, I've had this phone number for years, and I've never contacted you. Like, and I'm like, huh. And I was like, oh, maybe your daughter or like a relative came over because she contacted me about dog walking. And she's like, I don't have any dogs. I'm actually allergic. And I'm like, okay, I don't like this conversation anymore. I don't like this conversation anymore. Have a nice day.